And if they got right on the nose, they got to get like a sticker out of that book. And then we also had a potions class. A volunteer came, and she came with all these sensory things, and she lost her voice by the end of the night, but she was absolutely amazing.
That's what makes a community. Great work, and thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Were there more pictures? Oh. Well, finish telling us. Yeah.
Maybe?
He'll keep working on it.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. He dressed up as Harry, and he was the one helping with the pin the nose on Voldemort.
Very cool.
I can see it.
I can too.
Yeah.
He pulled it off well. Yeah, it worked out perfect. So we're hoping, I think, to keep it in September. It just worked out so great.
A fun kickoff to the Halloween season and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, well, then we can leave half of everything up for Halloween
that's true,
decorations. So. Oh, yeah. So outside we had the Triwizard Tournament maze.
Oh.
Wow.
And they each got a glow stick as they went in, which became more effective as it got darker. But I love that one. They were all dressed up the same. So we also had a costume contest. So see how they're holding those little pins. Holly made those as well. And so they were awarded those by the photographer. She was our judge. So some really amazing costumes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Very
Well,
cool.
thank you
you so much.
Thank you.
What a great
Great
way
event.
to kick off
Thank you.
the season and celebrate Harry Potter, and that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What can we do to help you for next year?
Oh. Yeah, but I think volunteers will probably be
That'd actually be fun.
the biggest
Yeah.
help.
Yeah.
Because it's huge. So.
Sign us up.
Okay, will do. Thank you so much.
Hey.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sherry. We appreciate all the programs you bring forward, and hopefully with our care tax, we might have a few shekels or something there to go towards some additional programs there in the future. So we'll take a look at that. Okay, now we have a group here from our preservation committee. If you'd come forward. Is it all three of you, or Jeannie, you're the spokesperson?
Can we we have two projects, and so I'll talk about one, and Karen will talk about the
Oh,
others.
okay.
I don't care.
That'll work.
Okay, and Jerry's moral
okay.
support,
All right.
and she will handle all the questions. So, for the
So
new-
everybody knows what we're talking about here is you've taken on the assignment to do some stuff for new public safety buildings.
right.
And in, I don't know, we call it decorating or historical things to add to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll just
All
okay.
right.
So there are two projects, and one of them is in the room, the city council room. What do we call that room? The big
Council
room.
The chambers.
Chamber.
The council chamber.
Courtroom.
Talking the court.
A courtroom
slash
slash
council
community
chambers,
or
yeah.
city council room, community room. And there will be one big wall on there that will be on the south wall as you go in that one. And we believe it's about 20 feet long that we have to work with. And I think the walls are 9 feet high with a chair rail. We're looking at 6. So we would like to do a mural on that wall that's about 6 feet by 20 feet-ish. And we've really kind of hashed that one out a lot. We had someone who was excited to do the mural and then kind of fizzled out and changed. So we back to square one. But we have been talking about it. I guess the good part of it is it helped us cement what it is that we really want to do. And we obviously need an artist touch because I have this very preliminary sketch that I made. This is what our mural is not going to look like, but
Give us an idea. Give us an idea.
Sorry. Okay. But in studying it, where we want to represent different things, the tracks. But, so it will basically tell our history through the art and try to capture the main points. And what are the main features? Anybody could say, you know, and it might be different for every person who remembers it. But we just want to have it, the purpose is to blend the old with the new, that everybody's a part of the community, whether you lived here for 100 years or 1 year, you know, and that we are moving forward as we go and trying to remember the past and preserve what we can of the past but look to the future and work it all together. So that's kind of what we're doing. We have somebody that is anxious to work on the mural, and one of the other things we talked about was possibly getting multiple artists working on it as long as they're all on the same page. And so we would have one who would be in charge of the whole project, and then maybe divide up different things, because I understand that these artists, the murals are a lot of work, and they take a lot out of people physically. And so we're just looking at maybe if they could do some of it as a donation recognition and donor recognition, and some of it compensation, but we really don't know, and nobody can give us prices until they know. That's kind of the hard part. So we're just going to say this is what we want and see if we can't figure out how to make it happen. But hopefully you walk in and it's nice and colorful. It has all kinds of iconic things along the wall that we remember and where we're going in the future. So that's kind of where we're at on the wall. The other project is using the old bricks on a little mini wall. I think you all know where that is, but that's going to be Dave told me they're ready to frame that in, and maybe they're going to sheetrock the whole thing, the little arch inset, and have a little glass door. And we wanted to make it look like you were peeking in through the window to see all the events that went on. So we'd like to have a way to remember, especially the fact that there were lots of different opinions and feelings when it came to the rec center and the old buildings, and so we want to preserve memories and happy memories and not hostile times, you know, but if you look through the window, and it will be a little distorted because you wouldn't actually see what you're seeing through that one window, but it is an arch, same dimensions almost, and same configuration of the brick. So they're trying to replicate that as much as possible, so that we have a glass window you're looking through, and you would see different figures, people in dancing, basketball, junior jazz, high school activities, junior high, the decorations, the fabulous decorations that they have. It'll almost be a little bit of a Where's Waldo effect, where you look in there and you see what you can find inside the window. It will have a glass cover that can be locked so we can get in when we need to, but hopefully you can find some fun things, and every time you come you see something in there you didn't see before. But we realized that we are pretty low tech, so we've recruited, and Karen can talk about that part.
So we've got I'm getting bids from a couple of different people, a couple that live in Pleasant Grove that are graphic artists, and one that lives in Salt Lake that is also an artist that can do graphic design and the Photoshop, because we want to take, photos, as many photos as we can, and so we'll get them good copies of the photos of, from yearbooks and different things that we have to get these images kind of superimposed over an image of the inside of the building, looking at it from as if you're looking in the window from the south end and looking at the opposite wall. So looking at the north wall and all of the things going on inside. So we've got some people that are good and that are willing and very talented, and we're trying to nail all that down. I'm trying to get with somebody because you can't explain exactly, we can't all get on the same page in a 5-minute conversation, and they're all very busy right now. So the ones that I know of and that we're talking to. So we're hoping to get that, get some solid quotes on how much they can do, and I think the locals may be willing to, do some, half and half, some kind of donation in kind recognition if we can swing their time for at least part of their time. So anyway, because it's a fairly involved project with all of this, so it's not just the graphic design illustration, but it's the images superimposed on that, and then making the kind of a 3D standout sort of a thing, so that we've got behind the glass, so you has some dimension to it. So, and the figures have some dimension. Mm-hmm. No, I can't get anybody to give me any spitball numbers without knowing exactly what we're looking for, So
I would just say that when the idea of having a couple of them is so hard with.
It is, yeah. Right, yeah.
And then what were you thinking also in?
No, I mean we talked a little bit about that. Who did we talk to?
You might talk to me
about the muralist doing, saying, can we give them some donor recognition on the wall for their time instead of having to give them cash? So that's might work.
Well, I think ours is, they bring the ideas to them, and I think they want our approval to move ahead with it. Funding's going to come from, and really appreciate you guys taking the lead in on this. And
well, can I just,
yeah.
the brick wall with the window inset, that's already being delivered. That's happening. Yeah. That's within essentially the allotted budget. We set aside an allotment to make sure that was taken care of. The mural is a different matter. That's something that is not right now part of the budget. Again, with CARE tax, we might have a little bit more flexibility with that than maybe we had, 2 weeks ago. So I think there's some, and giving them recognition on the donor wall is something we can completely do if there's somebody that's willing to donate some of that. So part of that's already in play.
So the next step really is final drafts and money.
Yes, final drafts and dollars. Yep.
yeah. So we're turning the hard work over to them to get everybody on the same page and get us a good product.
Any questions?
To let you know that Bruce Hanson, maybe 2 of you in this room know Bruce Hanson from our class of 66.
66? Okay, all right.
Dan,
Was that a disclosure?
he's younger than
You're
me.
starting to date me here now, so anyway, so.
Well, you're younger. You're
Yeah,
much
yeah.
younger, like 15 months or something like that.
He was in grade school.
Yeah. No, so Bruce Hansen has been, he is an artist.
Oh, really? I didn't
Yes.
know that.
He's done some really great work and done some mural work. The teacher that he has, she works with one of the muralists for the temples. So anyway, we wanted him to be the spearhead, whoever is going to work on the mural. He's really excited about this. So thought we'd have a bake sale or something.
All right, well, thank you.
Any questions?
I think we got it in good hands here, so if you. Thank you. Okay, thank you for your time. We'll now move on to item number 3, and our city administrator city manager will come and present our next item for our work session.
All right, Daniel's going to pull up a map for me of the property just to the east of the Water Gardens. Now, the Water Gardens is right here. Have this property here. A little bit of the history of that property, owned by the Smith family at one point. Changed hands a few times. When I started here in Pleasant Grove, it was owned by the FDIC. And eventually ICO, which is the commercial arm of Ivory Homes Development, came in and bought the property with the intention of doing a senior housing project. So they approached the city council, wanted to put in a senior housing project here. I don't remember how many units. Was that how many it was? And Stephen here with I'm going to have him talk in a minute, and he can maybe correct me if I'm wrong on certain things here. But part of it is that we needed to grant them an overlay. In exchange for the overlay, we negotiated some retail that would go in here, and then they were already planning on doing some office surrounding this here. So this was the initial site plan. So this is the senior housing, commercial, meaning office, and then multi-tenant retail, about 18,000 square feet of retail there. So we had a development agreement November 19th, 2013, so almost 5 years ago, in which we said, okay, we'll create the overlay for you to do the senior housing. In return, you deliver some retail, and we can do that. The development agreement went for a couple years. There was no movement, and ICO told us all along, we're trying to get some federal money to do this senior housing, to help with the senior housing project. They wanted to do that first as the anchor to drive some of the commercial development. The federal money never came in, so this never happened. They came in about 3 years ago and asked for an extension to the agreement, which we granted them an extension. And now they're coming back with a different plan. Generally speaking, when we have a developer approach us about a plan, in the past we'd bring them sometimes in front of you, and it'd put you in a difficult spot because they were kind of taking your temperature on what you wanted. And so we've gotten out of that practice. We've sent them to Planning Commission, and we work through that angle, and then it eventually gets back to you. This one is slightly different for the fact that we had an operating development agreement. We already had a concept plan that the city council had said yes to. So they have requested to change their site plan and do something a little bit different than the senior housing. And so I'm going to have them explain kind of what their new proposal is, and then we can talk about how that would tie in with the agreement and what we would need to do zoning-wise moving forward. If this project is the one that we want to do. So with that, I'll turn it to Stephen here with ICO and let him introduce the plan.
Great. Thanks for allowing me to come and speak to you today.
Just a question.
Yeah.
I didn't see this in the packet. Is this somewhere in the packet?
No, this was just created.
Okay.
What does this say? So I can't write here.
Okay, so this.
Were you going to tell us? Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm jumping ahead.
No, you're good.
Wait, what was your name?
Give them a chance here, folks.
Go ahead, Stephen,
Okay.
you're doing
I'm
fine.
looking at
Okay.
it. And,
Just
okay.
back off
okay.
here a little.
All
Let
right.
'em- let 'em-
All right, so I'm Steven with Ivory Commercial. So yeah, this is the new plan. I think Scott did a good background of the old plan. So basically, the change is this entire area on the north. We had the senior housing here, and then the 2 offices. Okay, sorry, I didn't know if I was touching buttons. So basically, we're replacing around 40,000 square feet of office. It's now being reduced to around 13,000. And in place of that office is now 55 single-family attached homes. And you were right. It was around 62 senior housing units before. So overall, we're wanting to reduce the density, and as Scott said, just those tax credits have not come to fruition. So we want to do something with the site. I'm sure you want to see something done with the site as well. And so Ivory Homes has had a big push over the last year or two of smaller homes. We've had a pretty significant housing shortage across the state, and they've seen quite a bit of success with those smaller homes. It just helps a lot of people who are trying to break into the market, a lot of these first-time home buyers. So that's the plan, and that's what we like to see on the site. And so I think we'd probably have the same phasing plan as kick it off with the residential, and then that would help, anchor the site, bring in some traffic, and allow us to do some of this multi-tenant retail. So
these were so they're like twin homes, basically, right? Are they attached?
Yeah, they will be attached.
And how many units
55
total? So no senior housing at all.
No senior
Just
housing.
a single family.
Right.
And so this is office right here.
No, these are townhomes as well. The old plan had office, but
And then this is office right here.
nope, townhomes as well. So basically, this entire section would be townhomes. The only remaining office is on this southern portion here. Yeah.
Retail still right here.
Retail is totally unchanged. So the southern portion of the site is totally unchanged. It's just this section here. So these 2 offices are also gone.
Talk to me a little bit about the home itself.
We're so preliminary. It's just conceptual, and I think we'll probably not even be able to achieve 55, once we get turnarounds and things fully designed. I imagine it would be a 2-story, potentially 3-story. I'm doubtful we would do that, but most likely a 2-story townhome, anywhere between 1,000 to 2,000 square feet, somewhere in there.
So question for Daniel then, with this overlay of this change, what is the maximum allowed, and then what they're talking about?
Well, let me help a little bit with that, and Daniel can get the exact calculation. But if this is a project we'd want to pursue, we'd recommend changing the zoning of the property to the downtown village zone, which is the zoning of the property just across the street, 600 West. We would just extend the zone into here. The downtown village zone allows you to deliver so many housing units based on how much commercial property you're going to be bringing in. So you bring in a certain amount of commercial property, that dictates how many housing units you can have. Daniel, did you do a quick calculation?
Well, if we just take into consideration the retail part, as we will make it part of the new development agreement, the maximum will be about 54, 55, if we only take into consideration the retail. So the numbers are similar.
They get, for 1,000 square feet of retail, they get 3 units.
Correct.
For 1,000 square feet of retail, they get 3 housing units. So if we have 18,000 square feet in retail, then they would get 54 units.
So here's my concern. I definitely like the single family housing better than the better than the senior housing, but there's still only one way in and one way out. A lot of people. That parking lot, as everybody knows, the Water Gardens parking lot is packed every Friday night, every Saturday night, and every Tuesday night for sure. I'm concerned.
Well, and you're right. 600 becomes a mess right here.
That's a
have to
disaster.
Talk about that.
Yeah, I'm struggling with putting 60 units in there when even, let's say Tuesday, Sunday, someone talked to me and said, when is that going to be developed for commercial? They want to be able to go out and to eat right there and then go to the movies.
Is there?
No.
No, the railroad, they've already talked about how
So
it's
Garden
just
Drive
impossible.
eventually is master planned to go all the way through and then connect.
The 1300.
But that's
Who knows when that's going to happen? That's
Long ways
at
away.
least 3 owners. I would like to see less housing and more commercial. Not only to reduce the density, but traffic is going to be a bear.
I'll give my 2 cents for. I agree, right? This lot is what it is, right? And that's why I think you've probably struggled for a while to have something come there, and we've watched it just sit. It is hard because of, I don't want to say location, but because of the way you have to get into that property.
Well, and the shortness between State Street and you got to make 3 left turns to get into that.
Well, so during traffic time, 600 just it's a mess, right? It is what it is. I do love that you're keeping the retail there, and you do have the one commercial building. This may be one of those properties where we get what we get. It's hard to develop there, and I think ICO would probably attest to that with you trying to go after the 55 and older and then other things. But this is going to be a hard one, just because. If it was such a great destination, people would probably come knocking at your door wanting to buy it off your hands and to develop. So this is going to be a good discussion.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to get any more retail or restaurant than what they've got planned there, because you just won't see that because of the just the whole situation there. So. Anyway, so that leaves you with housing.
Yeah, is there any plans, and Marty's not here, but is there any plans to widen those or change that intersection, not only on 600 West? Yeah, well, this one here, this side doesn't have a curb and gutter, so across from is that the Lions Club?
That's Eagle
Lodge.
Yeah. Car dealership.
But that right there it's kind of a mess.
Correct me wrong, but a long time ago there was a plan, but it got, yeah.
This is a mess.
Well, here's our issue is, I mean, Todd's right.
It is.
We have talked about straightening that road out, and it's like a $10 million project. That was something we were looking at 7 or 8 years ago, and the dollars just got too overwhelming.
We get state funding.
So the idea was to kind of curve it up this way and connect into 600. So which was going to take a business here, it was going to change how things were happening here, and it got just really expensive really quick.
Here's what happens for those that don't drive this turn lane from coming south, turning left, that's bad, and then right here that gets backed up.
Yeah, the state's going to fix that, though, on their new project.
Is that kind of, I'm from the state of Utah and here to help you type of thing?
Well, we're going to lose property there on that because they're going to put a new.
Right here?
Yes, that all goes.
Yeah, he came in and talked to us.
When they redo that whole intersection is going to be rebuilt, not next year, but the following year.
2020.
Oh, because they're going to put 3 lanes in.
And they've already bought the property.
And then dedicated turn lanes and 2 turn lanes there. So it's going to make that flow better. The problem is the traffic coming off, our traffic coming off 600 West, making the right-hand turn or left-hand turns onto Center Street.
So whatever goes in here is a 100% destination.
Yes.
This
So
is,
you know what you're getting into
yes.
when you turn in.
Because it's hard to get in there.
So we know the railroad isn't gonna give us any leeway. We know that. And so here we have somebody who's gonna come in with they are gonna go here because they live here. Even when those others develop, it is still a destination site. So I like the idea of the 3,000 square feet of business. I don't know if we can,
That's tied specifically to retail.
It's already.
right.
And so that's part of the zone. We would maybe need to touch it up with the development agreement
Right.
if we get that far.
The issue will be phasing, right? Because
Yes.
the requirement for the zone is you can only have 3 units for every 1,000 square feet of retail. So
Yeah.
if normally you're gonna wanna come in and build all the
housing
residential,
first.
which is the way you explained it, then our issue is going to be, how are we gonna be guaranteed that you just build the residential and not the retail? So that's something that will have to be worked out.
So if you want my 2 cents, I'm in favor of moving forward and hearing what they have to say and that, just because of this situation, this property and the way it's sat and what we could have there, I'm in favor of moving forward and listening to see what they bring and have. Let the planning commission.
I am interested in the traffic, and so I don't know if there's another solution. We know 13th, we know that it's gonna go to 13th, but can we put another?
Well, so part of that is we're not going to be able to solve the traffic solution tonight. Really,
interested.
what we're looking for from you is they've given us a concept plan, and if part of the feedback is a little less housing and a little more office, they need to hear that. If it's, I'm kind of okay in concept with what you have, they need to hear that. Because what's going to happen now is they're going to go back and if they look at this and say, okay, we want to do this, we're not going to sit down with them as staff. We'll work on the development agreement side of that, and in the same process, start running them through Planning Commission, well through DRC. So DRC is when they present their concept to the engineers in the room and all of our utility people and the fire department, and they're the ones that start hashing out traffic and some of those things. And that keeps Ivory going. And eventually, if it's something they really want to do, they'll get to site plan stage because that costs money to get there. That goes through the Planning Commission. Does this come to the City Council site plan?
No.
We could, if the council wanted to, you could make it a requirement of the development agreement that it that the site
I
plan
thought
does
if
come
it
back to
involved
you.
the downtown overlay, it did.
Well, you're right, because we're gonna have to rezone it, so it will come to the city council.
Yeah, but there's
The
a difference
rezone part-
between the
Rezone
rezone
will,
and the
but
site plan.
Right, the rezone will come to you guys. The site plan, no, not even for the downtown.
So per ordinance.
Yes, only for the growth.
But if you want to make that a requirement via the development agreement, I think we can do that, right? To require them to get site plan approval
I would like
through the city council.
So I'm on board again, maybe just like Todd said, maybe a little more commercial, maybe.
Right in there,
Here.
or even on this slippery little thing. Yeah, we'll more commercial on this. Tuck the housing back in here, which is fine, but make this a little bit more commercial. That would be my feedback.
And my only feedback would, I would love a restaurant right here.
Well, you got to have more commercial then.
And actually, I would like steak. I would like a sit-down steak.
Agreed. Agreed.
We're lacking.
Destination steak.
So with that, Stephen, do you have enough feedback from the council to kind of, for you guys to take your?
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, I think we got it. Well, we got his direction there.
Yeah.
We'll work on that eating place for you. Maybe we can put a food truck right there for
No,
you. Okay.
that
so-
doesn't cut it. Roost Chris would be preferred.
Yeah, that'll never happen. Okay.
So with that, we don't have anything else for this evening. If we want to take a break before
Okay.
council meeting, then.
I'd like to call for a motion to adjourn from our
Motion
work
to
session.
adjourn.
Second?
We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned till just at 6 o'clock.
John Hawkins. Italian for beanie.